It's Bonnie with So Inspired by Bonnie with another Tuesday's tip. And I'm going to refresh the computer and we're going to give people a little bit of time to show up. Please give me a like or say where you're from or hi or whatever so I know that you're here, and we'll go ahead and get started. Today's Tuesday's tip was by a lady that wrote in with a question from last week. Last week, as you may recall, we were discussing, hi Elizabeth, we were discussing thread storage and organization and how to keep up with that. And so we got a question from last week, and it got me thinking that it needed its very own Tuesday's tip. So we're gonna wait just a little bit here and make sure we have everybody here, because I don't want anybody to miss out. This was kind of a clever trick that I ran across, and I thought it was fun to share. But while we're waiting here, I just wanted to remind you to go ahead and sign up for our newsletter if you haven't done so already. We do give out a free design, well, 2 free designs when you sign up, and then later on, periodically we send out free designs. It keeps you up to date on what we're doing and the sales we have going on and what our Tuesday's tips are. One other thing I might wanted to remind you is be sure to click on the follow button up at the top on our website. That way you'll also get reminders of when I go live if you want to join us. So I thought I would just let you know about that. Looks like we have people showing up, so again, I'm going to kind of go over what today's going to be about. Last week we were talking about the thread storage and how to keep track of what threads we have and different options for keeping our thread safe and secure and finding what we need when we need it, not buying duplicates and things like that. And then I had a lady write in, and forgive me, I can't remember your name if you're watching, but she wrote in and she said, well, that's all well and good, but how do you keep the bobbins actually together with the thread? She uses, as we all do, winds up bobbins periodically and then forgets what went with what. And so I thought, that's an excellent question, and I'm probably not the best person to ask that question to, because I have a tendency to take all the leftover bobbins, shall we say, and put them in a little storage compartment within my sewing cabinet. So I thought, but that's a really good question. I'm one of those that I do, and I did a video earlier about this, wind or put a little cut tube around my bobbins to keep them from, I just dropped one, to keep them from coming undone and causing a big mess, but they're all kind of tossed into the drawer. So I thought, well, that's a really good question. What I do is I just kind of match up the color to my thread and I go on. But when you have specialty threads or cottons versus polyesters or 12 weight or, heaven forbid, wash away thread, you certainly don't want to sew something up with the wash away. So I thought that was a really good question. We need to address it. Now, there's all kinds of bobbin storage out there. You've seen them as well as I have. You've got your little straight line ones, there's the little donut ones, and you can mark them. If you want to store your thread that way, you could certainly mark it cotton or whatever right on the storage that you're using for your bobbins, but that still doesn't address things like a wash away thread or a very fine lingerie thread that you want to keep with the spool of thread itself. So last week we did discuss different storages like I mentioned before, and all this thread here is embroidery thread, so I really didn't give much thought to the bobbin thread. I buy my bobbin thread pre-wound for embroidery, and I buy it by the gross, which is 144 little bobbins. And what I found originally is that I would store them in the little box they came in, but I would dig in that box, and by the time I got to the second or third level in that box, I started getting kind of a mess. So what I started doing was putting my pre-wounds, I'd still store them in my box, my container, but I pull out about a handful, and then I put them in this little zipper bag. You know, I just have one of these little triangular bags. You've probably seen this pattern all over the place. I've seen free pattern options of it somewhere. Really simple to make, and I have this little loop on the end, and I just hang it on my pegboard next to my thread, so it's easy access. I can get into it, and then if I get a little bit of a mess, it's not a big mess. So that has really helped. I like that. Now, we did discuss the Matchbox car garages last week, where you can store your thread. If your thread is the size that will fit in here, you can certainly store it in here and see all the colors you have available. And if you use a particular decorative thread, wind a bobbin, there's certainly room in the Matchbox car garage to toss the bobbin that you used right in there with your thread and store them right there together. So that's one option that I think would work really well. Then when I was doing a little more study, oh, I just turned out my light. I don't know, you might be able to see me better without the back glare. I think I will turn that off. So anyway, then on Pinterest, I saw this other clever idea, and I thought I just have to share it with all of you because it's basically a no cost. So you have your spool of thread, and it uses rubber bands. And we all have rubber bands laying around the house, right? So what I found that I liked best was kind of a larger rubber band that was kind of thin, not a real fat one, because you want it to go through the bobbin. And then what you're going to do is you're going to take your bobbin, just like so, and you're going to thread, I guess, the rubber band through your bobbin. Okay, so you've got two loops on either side of your bobbin. You're going to take your spool of thread. Now, I did kind of modify what Pinterest did because I thought theirs was a little harder, and I wanted something fast and easy. If I don't have something fast and easy, I don't use it, so it doesn't do me any good. But anyway, you've got your bobbin on this rubber band, and then you're just going to take and put it on one end and put the other and loop it over. And there you've got your bobbin right there with your thread, pretty much no cost. Now, unless you had to go buy rubber bands, but we, like I said, almost always have some rubber bands laying around. If for some chance it winds up sticking out like that, and you want it nice and flat because you put your thread on a pegboard like I do, or store it like that, all you have to do is stretch the rubber band out, turn the bobbin, and lay it up next to. Let's see if we're back. We got interrupted there. I want to see if we're back. Okay, we're back. I was getting a phone call on my cell phone, so that was what the interruption was. But what I was saying, in case I'm not quite sure where we got interrupted, but if you stretch the rubber band out, turn the bobbin, it will lay nice and flat against your thread. And then you can put it right on to your pegboard or however you store it, and it won't interrupt or, bang into the other threads. So I thought that was a very clever way, super simple, really easy way to keep your bobbin threads with the thread that they were wound with. So that being the case, that's my tip for today. I'm going to come on here and see if we have any questions. Patty, did you get in? It says you're trying to get in. I see you here. I'm reading through. I'm not trying to ignore you. I'm just reading through to make sure that we have all the questions answered. Judy said she's not getting me, but I think that was the interruption with the phone call. So I think we're okay now. I hope so. I hope we didn't just do a video where no one could see it. So I just typed a question to see if everybody got in to see. Let's see. Teresa says, so far I used 3 Handy Quilter bobbin boxes, one for each of my Bermuda machines, which of course each machine is a different type of bobbin. And how do you keep that all straight? You know what you might do is, since they all use a different bobbin, you might just mark right on the outer edge of the bobbin with a little Sharpie, and maybe a color Sharpie, like color coordinate your machines. So maybe the outer casing on one machine is blue and maybe one is gold or something like that. You could color code your bobbins to coincide with your various machines. And then you could still store the bobbin with the thread and still know which machine it went to. So you have those options. You kind of have to think outside of the box for those of us that do have different machines that take different size bobbins. So that might be one option that you could try. Let's see if there's any other questions. I think I'm seeing several highs. Hi! I don't see any other questions, but that was an excellent one. Right, if we have different bobbin sizes for different machines, how do we keep those straight when they're with the thread and not the machine? So I would definitely put a dot, you know, a color coordinate somehow my machines. And if you had to, make yourself a cheat sheet, you know, where, you know, red is my Bernina and blue is my Quattro and gold is my Destiny, or, you know, whatever makes sense to you, that's what I would do. And then just get a little Sharpie marker in those various colors and put a dot on the bobbin itself. So I think that would work really well. Okay, I think we've gotten all the questions answered. I know this was a short and sweet Tuesday's tip, but sometimes the little short and sweet ones are the best. I really appreciate you guys taking some time out of your busy day. I'm sorry for the interruption on the phone call. I did have my phone set to not receive those, so I'm not quite sure what happened, but technology, it's a love-hate relationship, I always say. But I'm so glad that you stopped by, and even if it was just to say hi, I really appreciate you taking time out of your day. Do sign up for our website, our newsletter on our website. It's www.sewinspiredbybonnie.com. And again, you'll get notices about sales. You'll get a couple of freebies when you sign up. And also wanted to remind you that this will be posted in all its glory of hiccups and boo-boos. It will be posted again on Facebook. So it'll be on my Facebook page under the video section. It'll be on my YouTube channel as well as Pinterest. So I hope you have a great day, and I'm all for that 8th day of the week where it's a sew day. Oh, it looks like we have something else from Teresa real quick. Teresa said, well, to be totally accurate, each bobbin looks different, and I just have multiple bobbins on each thread with the rubber band. Okay. Well, that makes sense too. Yeah. I mean, they look different, but if you can't remember which went to one or the other just because they look different, I would try color coding them to keep track, because sometimes I forget, you know, which went with what. So that might help. Thanks again, and I will see you next week. Have a blessed day. Bye-bye.